100% and up for both the Ziggs as well as Camille. So this is going to be setting the tempo right, especially if you give Tipper this Camille, or even if Valdez lands it inside the jungle, you will be expecting a lot of early ganks coming off the wall out of EVOS Esports. Now, heading towards one team, they know that there's always the Gragas available, so they will lock it right in. But the question is, where should they put this Gragas right now? In the hands of Baya, Siu, or Kid?
With Corki, you have to assume it's going either top or jungle. They'll run Varus Seraphine, the ultimate poke lane down bottom, and I feel much more confident about the second half of this draft for one team. I'm not a giant fan of the Olaf in the jungle. I think EVOS Esports have walked away with by far the upper hand in this draft. That Fiora Camille could swap around, but I'm going to assume that this Fiora is in the jungle, as is the Valdez special. They've got the Kai'Sa bot lane, they've got the Ziggs in mid. This is a really good draft to start our grand finals.
This is them loading their guns, heading into the Rift. This is game one. One Team Esports versus EVOS Esports Thailand.
EVOS Esports getting kind of their dream draft. Cat Satan gets the Kai'Sa, G4 gets the Ziggs. That's going to give them an incredible amount of mid-game team fighting power. And you have the Fiora jungle, something that has horrified all of my friends who don't play Wild Rift.
Yeah.
They come in from PC, they're like, what's going on? Well, it's quite good here in Wild Rift because you have the early game dueling power that any jungler would dream of. And you can scale into late game in a way that certain picks like the Olaf, for instance, don't.
Yeah, and if you add on top of that, the cooldown on the lunge actually resets and goes even lower down whenever you hit any sort of neutral monsters, or you could just easily hop over a wall and catch somebody by surprise. So she's a little bit too slippery to actually be caught much in the early game, but you definitely don't want that Olaf right in your face on the get-go, because he's just going to be throwing a whole lot more of those acts with the undertow. Now, it's definitely essential for Baya to just dodge any of these skill shots heading in towards the early portion of the game, but we're already seeing a little bit of a rotation coming out of G4 just to secure a dive over the bottom side, and this might just allow pretty bad for the likes of EVOS, and they will get shut down. It's first blood for one team, and make that a double, as Baya will also catch one for himself.
What an aggressive play from one team. That was planned out from the moment they loaded onto the Rift. They're able to manipulate the pace of the game there via their early game aggression, by the way that Baya cleared mid-wave. And it pays off, because at no point do EVO see a 4-man bot lane gank coming. And they're able to get past a Braum under turret, which is truly incredible.
Wow. I never really expected G4 to actually lose this rotation out as well. And once you see usually a Corki hitting through the early game, you're not expecting him to gank until this happens. Tipper drops are able to exit ultimatum, and that should be enough with even the Mega Inferno Bomb drop right in. So that's one kill for Tipper overall.
And we are starting things off exactly as I would have hoped. Yes! One team are able to execute plays like that. It's what won them the Taiwan region. It's what made them such a good team and such a favored team coming into this tournament. But EVOS also have one of the strongest and most team-aware top lanes in the entire tournament. Tipper is so good at split pushing, so good at providing early game utility for his team. You can expect that Camille to be constantly ganking lane as this tournament goes on.
That's true, and so far it's really hard for any of these junglers to actually gank a lane with the Camille as well. With the hook shot, you could just evade a lot of all these pressure. Now, they know that Shenyo's going to be around even without a ward spotting onto him, so they will have to back away because EVOS Esports did land one inside the river, and
they're gonna
get the plates. That's good enough.
Yeah, this is still worth it so long as they do get this plate, which it doesn't actually look like Ninja. Okay, there we go. Stepped back into it. They're going to have to shove this in, but they will get the plate, and this is worth it as a result.
And overall,
We do watch that roam coming in, so I'm a little bit nervous that Valdez is going to be able to catch them here.
here comes the Gleeful Showfisher heading onto Ninja 7, but they will focus on to Sue. This is a bad dive. Encore dropping in, and they will have to lose Valdez life for it. Satan now has to flash away. I still consider this huge for one team because they avoided that trouble, and they absolutely forgot about the power of Seraphine. And here comes Accent Ultimate. Mega Inferno Bomb. The Wobble combo comes into effect, and the flash will be popped by Shan Yo.
The top laner for EVOS ganks the bottom lane and will find the kill as a result. Thipper, again, I told you, he plays for the team. He's able to roam all the way down to the bottom lane in order to make the play around this dragon go positive for EVOS, which it now has. Even the kill count and gold score rises the first dragon comes up, which is a very important power spike for both these teams.
Yeah, and that is absolutely wild. Like, he does that even without needing a teleport. So this is where One Team Esports will look to actually secure their very first objective by slaying the Cloud Dragon. First dragon of the series for one team here will be essential for them to just really provide a little bit more room for Ninja 7, considering how immobile a Varus is overall. And at least they do have a little bit more layers of crowd control when it comes down to not only the Encore that they can set things up nicely alongside with the explosive cast. So Baya can actually make some good plays and still have a little bit more gap to close out on in a certain form of way. Now, EVOS Esports, they do lose some of all these trading. They lost the tower, but I guess they can still try to fight for the next objective over on the Herald.
Yeah, this comes out even in terms of turret trades, but obviously one team have a slight edge because they do get that Drake. And the curious question is, do EVOS immediately go for this Rift Herald as they have been positioning for, when they know one team must be able to contest this? One team have put equivalent priority on Heralds throughout this tournament. Oftentimes, they are the team that will forego the first Drake in order to pick up this Herald. So they are going to show up here.
Yeah, indeed. And EVOS probably can actually get this fight running well. They will be able to slide away.
They're just gone.
Wow, in the blink of an eye, and nobody's inside of the Herald Pit, and this is your gold Herald in the hands of EVOS Esports. Now, I want to see where will it be dropped, most likely for the mid lane plates, and then they will fight for that juicy Infernal Drake that will be spawning up next. So I guess this is definitely good signs for EVOS to balance things out, considering the fact that, you know, it's only 1,000 difference for now. It's hard to actually pinpoint anything. But if we look into the builds, the Trinity Force is already being set up for this Corki up in the mid lane, and it will go for a little bit of a Lethality build onto Ninja 7.
I mean, somebody call 100 Thieves, because that was a heist.
I see.
That's my joke.
I love it, and
okay,
I absolutely get the
better.
point.
That's a better result than I thought.
Yeah.
Rift Herald gets stolen away. It'll get thrown down bottom. It's not going to be saved for a Drake or anything because EVOS see an opportunity to ensure that Drake by getting the turret. In the mid lane, there is an attempt, a Hextech ultimatum thrown out onto Ninja, but they will survive.
Yeah, and I guess this Camille is on a fly quest as well, just flying across walls just to actually get a catch.
That was gross.
Yeah.
Mine was okay. It was a stretch, but it was okay.
Well, I could say the same for Cat Satan, but I guess it worked. Okay, you know, back to the drawing board. So, yeah. EVOS Esports still trying to pry things up open as they are trying to shove these minions down mid, but the poke damage is good overall coming from One Team Esports. And oh, here comes a flash!
Wow!
And that explosive caster drop right in. Things
what
up nicely,
was
but
that?
The Grand Challenge is already being popped up. Kid walks away, and that's 2 kills on EVOS.
That was incredible. Flash mid body slam, get Kid over the wall. I believe it was blind to find that kill, and they're going to keep going.
Oh, speaking of which, they've already dropped the Hextech ultimatum. Only 1 tick of HP left, and he will be shot by the Void Spikes. And here comes Baya trying to clean up shop. Double kill for the One Team's marksman overall. So I guess One Team just knows how to navigate around and just have a hindsight of where EVOS Esports like to be hiding. Well, that happened all too fast, and probably one of the best plays coming from any Gragas I've seen overall.
That was incredible. And it gets Kid such a massive series of kills in the mid lane. It keeps one team in control of the river. As this second Drake comes up, it's an Infernal Drake, the most important Drake in Wild Rift. Here we go.
Okay, now looking to lock Valdez right in. He will be able to slide away, and they will just negate this for a tad bit longer, while Scandal is trying to deal with Tipper, but Miracle is taking too much of poke damage. So one team, they also do have the wave control, but I'm not really seeing all too much of a good response coming from EVOS right now as they're being shoved away, not really having too much vision, but they do have a couple of wards that they can drop right in. While the Drake has already been startled, and Xianyu, he's hoping to smite this one away. Miracle will have to actually respond, and here comes Glacial Fister dropping in with the Mega Inferno Bomb as well. As they will have a big Killer Instinct alongside with the package to negate the rest of EVOS, but they will find 2 kills. And here comes Ninja 7 flashing away. He turns golden, but this kill will be in the hands of EVOS as well. Consider that a win. EVOS ties the knot. They will settle to just lose the Drake to one team, but take lives and also turn down tier 2.
Yeah, and Kais is online. You've got the AP build Corki, which is now online. And EVOS are going to try and just shove through this mid lane, take control of the game off of the back of that team fight.
Okay, I gotta say this is a little bit of a greedy misplay. He was overzealous. I didn't want to say too much words because he was looking for the hunting fruit, and if he does have, you know, the runes for it, maybe he just walked away with a couple of gold, but that's about all. A freebie to Xianyu, I must say.
Yeah, I didn't know what to make of that. I apologize for stopping dead. Xianyu just walks down the mid lane and gets a free kill. Cat Satan kind of handing over the game there.
Yeah.
Not in its entirety, but that's going to somewhat mitigate what EVOS can do with this opportunity very seriously, because Cat Satan is such a big part of the team in terms of team fight damage at this point, and he has only just respawned. So during this entire time, one team were able to reset all the waves and shove them back up to EVOS turrets. That's going to buy them time, that's going to buy them space and gold.
This is where one team esports shines best. It's already going in towards the mid game. The builds are relatively good with that 2-item power spike coming in for the Varus as well as the Corki, which is very, very essential for you to just lower down the health bars before any team fights happen. And that's how one team esports managed to actually get the grasp on that Infernal. But if we really look into towards the later stages of the game, when you do have the Fuhrer completing that Blade of the Ruined King, probably you won't be seeing Gragas or the Olaf surviving for all too long because of how much a percentage health that you can actually chunk away, which is why the Torn Mill is so important for the Gragas, which is being played by one kid.
I'm really struggling as we enter this mid game here to piece together who's going to be walking away from current game state with an advantage, because on paper one team have taken every objective so far, but EVOS keep prioritizing wave clear and CS advantage over taking these objectives. And that is working out in terms of active gold on the field. The most important exception to that is that in terms of the AD carry role, thanks to Cat Satan's over-aggression we talked about in mid, and also how well Ninja 7 is playing, that AD carry that we spent so much time highlighting in the early game is actually breaking currently quite heavily towards Ninja 7. They've got their completed Muramana, and they've got a couple hundred gold lead that's fluctuating right now. So they're going to be able to do massive damage in these upcoming team fights on their Varus, and I don't know if EVOS are prepared for that, and I think it will mean that EVOS just have to sit back and play passive unless they're able to get onto Ninja 7 with that Hextech ultimatum at the start of these fights.
That's true. Here comes the Encore actually dropping into 3. And here comes the response as well with Mega for a bomb. There's no wave. Here comes Killer Instinct, but he will be dropped. 1 HP left on Ninja 7. He goes down. Xianyu trying to run for his life. Kid will be flashing away. So this is going to be a little bit of an eye for an eye on both marksmen in particular. While Evo's still trying to actually put them down to sleep. Bio now very much on a lethal health bar, as they will need to actually back away. And this is going to be a big advantage overall for EVOS Esports Thailand. And they're already working on the Drake, and they don't really need anyone else to commit. They can actually work on turrets, so this is going good for them.
Cat Satan playing like a melee assassin there, recognizing the disadvantage I was just talking about, and deciding, hey, we've got enough poke. If I can get in there and drop Ninja 7, maybe even one or two of his compatriots low, then G4 can finish that kill every day of the week.
Oh, okay. Now here comes a little bit of chase. Xianyo is just going to be disrupting the recall timers for the Fiora.
That gets the mid turret.
Yeah, I guess this is actually a very good trade, but with members of the likes of EVOS having Miracle putting the door up, and that will be absolutely negated. So one team just has to buy more time.
It's G4. G4 has so much poke and so much wave clear. Guarantees those kills a moment to go on to Ninja 7 and Shu. Right there in the mid lane, clears out a wave with a man advantage push that one team had engineered.
And this is where, you know, it's just a little bit of disruption coming into the jungle. As you were saying, like, the wave clears are absolutely great coming for EVOS Esports, and that's why you want this Ziggs being removed from play for most part of any sort of matches that you play against all these pro teams over on the Southeast Asia region in particular. But now they're actually calling for a boundary challenge. Tipper dropping in with the Hextech ultimate. Here comes Megan for a bomb. Oh, it instantly wipes away the Seraphine. Nothing that she can do. Not even to save them. While Kid is trying to turn it right back at them. I guess EVOS is happy with that one ping.
Watch how much damage Ninja 7's arrows are doing, though. They are chunking right now. They're going to need to deal with them.
And speaking of which, this is where Tipper tries to avoid all these tread. But now, with Olaf running at them, that's going to be Guardian Angel being popped by now, trying to do damage to his Cat Satan as he dives again. But he goes for a backline, finds Ninja 7, and EVOS, they're going wild, they're going rapid, and J4 gets another one back. In exchange, it's going to be Sanyo just dropping the axe to the head, and Tipper doesn't really have too much mana. It's not all too wide, but he will land a hook shot, and that's enough for him to secure the kill. It's almost an ace, or an extended one, as Seal comes back up alive.
Fipper winning the 1v1 on raw mechanics there. That'll get a turret as well as, of course, the teamfight gold. And we may have just seen EVOS take control of this game. It comes from some very aggressive team fighting, but very calculated team fighting. A full focus onto Ninja 7 as soon as they can find the opportunity, eliminating Baya immediately afterwards. Those are the target calls that EVOS needed to make, and they make it happen. As we head out of the mid-game, you're going to see a damage fall off from Ninja 7, at least in comparison to what's coming out from G4. And you are going to see Baya continue to be a threat.
That's right, and typically some of all these Varus players will actually opt to get things like Rapid Fire Cannon or, well, essentially Ruin on Hurricane if there is. So this is where, you know, things start to take a toll on them where they just have to rely on all these extended long pokes until EVOS just drops their health bar. But, you know, G4 can do exactly the same towards the side of one team.
Better.
Yeah, even better. Mega from Bomb has been able to eliminate the Seraphine overall for many a times.
And I want to flag one other thing that's going to be relevant for EVOS in this late game. EVOS are so good at playing late games out. It's partly because of the characters they draft. You look at the split pushing threat on this team. Obviously, you have Zipper, who's always going to be doing exactly this because of the high mobility of Camille, going to be able to get away. You also have Valdez, who can do the same thing. Check this out.
Oh boy, this is where Baya gets in trouble, but the rest of one team will be able to respond. And just in the nick of time,
Baya, push. It doesn't matter.
Is good. He's staying
because
alive.
Here's the other part of that. G4 does so much damage to turrets. Valdez does so much damage to turrets. EVOS, if you leave them alone with an inhibitor turret, as one team just did, they will demolish it.
Tipper now almost getting caught out by the Encore, but he turns golden for a tad bit as the flash is available on Kid. He tries to body slam.
Wow.
He goes backing away with a whole lot of discipline. They do not want to contest him right now, but this is where one team really calls in. Oh, Megan for a bomb.
Valdez is dead.
Out of nowhere. And this is a good sign. EVOS can still come in to contest. Hexite Ultimate locks onto Shenyo. They really want to kill him off without having to smite for one team esports. But this is where Tipper just have to avoid a lot more of this conflict. There is damage output, but Tipper finds another kick on top of members of one team esports. And he moves right back. Here comes the teleport as well. Who will actually get this Drake overall? I did not know just about yet, but Kid, he's going to come in with another huge monster. Here comes Shenyo. They might actually steal it. And yes, they will. One team esports. They gotta walk away alive or else EVOS esports gonna be stopping right in the base. Look at the minutes as well. EVOS, they're coming in as they will march right through. As the parade will secure them game number 1, undoubtedly so.
I don't believe it. You could not have asked for a better game number 1. Here come the respawns, maybe a chance. But no, the entire team is here. So EVOS will take game number 1 of our Grand Finals in spectacular fashion. A knockdown brawl around the Elder. It truly comes